Hey guys, so this is session 12. It's actually going to be your last lesson of this bend and this fairy tale that you have been creating. So, your second fairy tale that you will be soon publishing this week. And I really want you to take the time today to really, one, take on this lesson and really take some time in the editing process, but also just, being mindful that you're publishing tomorrow and you want to turn in something that you are proud of to share. And you can always go back to my past lessons and go into your writing and develop it further if you feel like there is room for growth. And you know me, I always do think that. So let's get right to it. So when I say editing, what comes to mind? And for you, it might be thinking about fixing your capitals, adding periods, making sure words are spelled right. And yes, let me tell you that all those things are part of editing. And all those punctuation rules are very important and something that I know we can all continue to improve on. When you go to gym and play a game of basketball, you make sure you follow the rules of the game. In basketball, you can't just run with the ball. You have to dribble down the court. Following the rules allows everyone to play the game smoothly. And writing has rules too. The rules are like a code that all writers agree on, like when to capitalize certain words or how to indent at the beginning of a new paragraph. And when writers edit their work, they go back and check to see if they follow the rules so the readers can read the writing with ease and without being confused. When writers are editing, they think about following the rules of writing, but they also use the editing process to add personality and style to their writing. It's actually really fun and provides ways to think creatively about writing and how your writing could sound like when you read. Today, I want to teach you that one way to create your own writing style is to experiment with different types of sentences when editing. This means that in addition to keeping an editing eye out for writing rules, writers edit to smooth out short or choppy sentences. Writers turn those sentences into smoother, more precise, and well-paced sentences. But what does that mean, right? Like, where do you start? So I'm going to give you an example. I know sometimes when I reread my writing during editing, I have to read some parts twice because during the first go through, I stumble. And I might have to put things in an awkward order. Like, I'm realizing it doesn't really sound great, it doesn't sound professional. But sometimes I don't stumble, but the sentences just sound boring. They sound short and choppy, making the whole piece sound like it's lurching between stop and go, stop and go. Like, for example, it might sound like this. Little Red Riding Hood left. She was happy. She walked. She had a basket. She was in the woods. A wolf came. She told the wolf where she was going. You see what I mean here? Like, did you notice the choppiness? Reading your writing out loud can be a really helpful way to find these sentences. So once you've found the short or choppy sentences in your own drafts, you can edit them and make them smoother and fancier. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So let's say one way I wanted to write how a student was walking into class. I could say, they walked in, they came to the rug, they looked happy. Those are perfectly fine sentences. But do you hear I wrote a bunch of short and choppy sentences in a row? Let me show you how I can edit these sentences to make them smoother and fancier. So first, I can add some information at the beginning of my sentence. I can add more details about how they walked into the class. For example, with a smile on their face and a skip in their step, they walked in. Or I can add more details about the setting. Here's an example. With the morning light streaming through the windows, they walked in. Do you see how adding a little information at the beginning of the sentence makes the sentence sound smoother, kind of sounds fancier, and just really clear of what's going on in the situation? I could also add information at the end of my short, choppy sentence to make them fancier. I might say a little more about the last word in the sentence, like, they walked in, the heavy classroom door slamming behind them. Really like painting a picture in your mind. So here's what I just did and what you have a chance to try. First, I reread my writing out loud to find the short or choppy sentences. Then, I experimented with making those choppy sentences smoother and fancier, and I did that by adding information in the beginning or the end of the sentence. When you are editing your stories, you'll make a decision about whether you want to add more information into a choppy sentence, and if so, whether you want to add information to the start of the sentence or the end of the sentence. Writers, this is your task to get started on. When you are rereading your writing today, before getting started, you might want to try rereading it out loud. And if you notice a bunch of short, choppy sentences, you might want to think about editing some of them. You also know many other rules for writing, so some of you might realize you need to use that editing strategy today. You have lots of tools in your toolbox. So today, friends, you are on your final opportunity to really edit, thinking about how you want your story to go, thinking about how you want to organize it, paragraphing, indenting, spaces between sentences, spaces between paragraphs, really thinking about developing that story. And the best way to do it is to read out loud, to add more to choppy sentences, and to really develop a descriptive, more easier, smoother way for the reader to get into the story. Can't wait to see what you come up with.